Come vape with me. I'm going to talk about vaping. That is an electronic cigarette in black, but they do come in white. That looks just like a cigarette. But when people vape, they don't want their personal vapor device to look like a normal cigarette. They want it to look different, so that if somebody sees you vaping, they don't think you're smoking a cigarette. So this is my electronic cigarette in black, and I'm going to be talking about this one. An electronic cigarette is divided into two parts. The small bit is the cartomizer. In here there's an atomizer and some wadding. The wadding is what absorbs the e-liquid that you fill a cartomizer with. The other end is the battery. That is the battery, and you can see it has a section for joining on to the cartomizer. So it screws together and you have an electronic cigarette. And how it works is, as you draw on the tip, the atomizer gets very hot and it splits the glycerine into water vapor. So the smoke you see is not smoke, it's vapor. It's water vapor. And the feeling is very similar to smoking cigarettes. Lots of people like their electronic cigarette to look like a real cigarette. And you do in the beginning. Inside this electronic cigarette is a battery, that's the white part, and an atomizer and a cartridge. So this is slightly different to a cartomizer. In the cartridge there is an atomizer. I'll show it to you. This section here that looks like the end of a cigarette, inside is wadding, and people drip their electronic cigarette liquid in there, and that is glycerine and nicotine. That is put on top of an atomizer. There is the atomizer on the end of this little electronic cigarette. When you put the two together, the cartridge on the top of the atomizer, and you draw on your electronic cigarette, the atomizer heats very hot and it splits the glycerine into water vapor, and on the water vapor is some nicotine, which makes it a very satisfying substitute for smoking. This is my black electronic cigarette. This has a cartomizer on the end, and a cartomizer is a combined atomizer and cartridge. I find these are much easier to work with. When you buy your electronic cigarette, you are going to get it in a pack. It'll come in a lovely box with all sorts of things that go with electronic cigarettes. One of the things we have to do with electronic cigarettes is to charge them. So that is the battery, and that is the main part of an electronic cigarette. We have to charge the batteries, and so you will get a little battery charger that you can plug into your computer, or you will get a charger on a plug that you can plug into the wall, and you simply screw the battery so you simply screw the battery into the charger and plug it into your computer, and it charges. An electronic cigarette will last several hours, and to actually vape it, you need to put the cartomizer on the end of your charged battery, and then it will make vapor. This is a cartomizer, and the cartomizers need filling. They need filling with e-liquid. There is some e-liquid in a plastic bottle, and you might get some with your order for your first device, your electronic cigarette. So how do you fill the cartomizer? Well, on each cartomizer there is a tiny little plastic tube. We call this a condom. And what you do is you take the condom and you pour your e-liquid into the condom halfway up, or sometimes 3/4 of the way up if your cartomizer is new, and you take the end that screws onto the battery and you push it down into the e-liquid in the little tube, and the cartomizer sucks up or draws into it all the e-liquid, and your cartomizer is full and ready for use on your electronic cigarette. These little batteries, like you get in a starter pack for electronic cigarettes, don't last very long, and the little cartomizers only have a small amount of fluid in them. So some people prefer to have bigger batteries. That is a bigger battery. That's a 650. This is a bigger battery still. That is a 1000. The difference in numbers means the batteries last longer. So a 1000 lasts longer than a 650. Here is a cartomizer on a bigger battery, and it has a silver tip. This battery works by pushing the button, and the button makes the atomizer heat up, and people can vape. Oh, that's delicious. So that is a normal cartomizer on a large battery. Some people don't like the buttons on big batteries, but you can get batteries with no buttons. This is a large battery, and it has no buttons to push. It has got a tank on the end. That means the e-liquid is a much bigger quantity, and it lasts longer than a cartomizer. That's got a very smart tip on it as well, and to vape on it you simply draw in and it goes on automatically. That is an automatic battery. Some people with disabilities like me, my left hand doesn't work properly, prefer automatic batteries because there's no buttons to push. sometimes in your cartomizer you'll find you have a flavor that you don't like. So I use a turkey baster. That is a turkey baster. And I drop the cartomizer with the connection end down into the turkey baster, and I put on the end, and then I put it in warm water, and I squeeze out the water and pull it in and squeeze out the water and draw it in again, and so the cartomizers are washed out and the flavor disappears. To know whether they're clean, I smell them, and if they don't smell of anything at all, I know that the cartomizer is clean, and I can fill it again with my e-liquid. I need to talk about safety. E-liquid has got nicotine in it, and nicotine is a poison. So e-liquids need to be locked away or put somewhere safe where children or people who don't understand can't get at it. So I'm talking about safety. When we plug into the wall to charge the battery, whether it's a big battery or a small battery, it really needs to be charged in a tin. The tin stops anything happening if the battery should catch on fire, and very, very occasionally, of course, they can explode, just like any other batteries. And so to put the batteries in a tin and semi-close the lid when you're charging your battery is a good idea to be safe. And don't leave. It's a good idea when you are leaving your battery and you're not going to use it to vape, to take the cartomizer off it so that the battery is alone and by itself, and you can store it in a tin as well, and of course safely away from people who don't understand or children. For people starting vaping is to get an electronic cigarette that does not look like an ordinary cigarette, that has a cartomizer on it rather than a cartridge and an atomizer. And if you can, get something that has a larger battery, because the large battery will last you all day. And if you like, you can get something with a tank on it. That is a tank. It's a C4 plus tank, and they work very well on all sorts of different batteries. I have to tell you that you will get new best friends when you're vaping. A box of tissues, because you're always wiping your fingers if you are using e-liquid. And a good idea is to have some baby wipes. Baby wipes work very well with cleaning up devices or wiping up spills and wiping your fingers so that you know you haven't got e-liquid on you. Thanks.
Okay.
Thanks for vaping with me.